What if I told you that stress wasn't the enemy, but the way that you're dealing with it is? Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening from whenever we are watching this. This is week 9 of Run For Not From. I'm so glad you can join me on this journey. And on this week, we're going to be talking about stress, the different types of stress, how it can be not only a bad thing like most people know, but how it can sometimes be helpful and a useful tool. And then we're also going to talk about things that we can do to manage, maybe even crush that stress that we've got in our lives. And hopefully this reaches you somewhere, and if it helps one person or 10 people, that's fine by me. I think what's funny to admit is that this morning I woke up a little bit late, my feet were still sore, and I was procrastinating. In all honesty, I didn't want to do this run. I had many excuses and potential reasons not to. I'd just done football this Sunday, and if I was to show you a picture of my feet, they are cut up, bloody and bruised from blisters. I have work in about an hour and a half. I had a stressful day yesterday. I know I'm gonna have a stressful day today because I've just come back from annual leave, and that first day back is always a little bit tricky. But I feel like it's the days like today that they are most important to do, and things like this will lower my stress, knowing that I've done this, I've achieved something before the work day's even started. So if you can take anything from this video, it's if you're doing something that you know is good for you, don't procrastinate, just do it, because I'm already feeling so much better for it, and I can't even feel my so-called broken feet now, completely forgotten about. Let's start off by talking about what can stress do to the body. You know, not only bad stress, but also what can good stress do for you. So let's start with the much more well-known negatives of stress. So I think it's important to mention that long-term bouts of stress can lead to digestive issues, can lead to cardiovascular issues, panic attacks. It can lead to your immune system being compromised. It can even affect your skin, maybe even your sex life. And what's so fundamentally cruel about stress is that it's a vicious cycle. If you get any one or multiple of those symptoms, you start stressing more, and then those symptoms get worse, and then you stress more and they get worse and worse and worse. And you need healthy ways to really attack that stress. But now let's talk about the positives of stress. And it's really important to mention that these are short-term. Long-term stress is bad, short-term stress can be good. It's the difference between eustress, eustress, eustress and distress. Positive forms of stress can be increased forms of motivation. They can be higher levels of focus. They can even be proven to increase output or performance, both in a physical sense, maybe in a financial, maybe in a business setting. So I think it's important to mention that stress can be positive. You know, without pressure, we can't have any diamonds. So you need to feel a little bit of pressure wearing down on you, weighing down on you, because it pushes you and drives you for more. But when that stress becomes non-manageable, long-term and distressing, that's when we've got to attack it. So we've got to talk about it. That's when we've got to do something. Let's talk about some things that can cause stress, some sort of common factors. You know, I think the big one is work. A lot of people can be stressed by work. I was stressed by work yesterday. And I have to say, hand on heart, work for me is usually not stressful. And you have stressful days. You know, it happens. You got to put it in perspective. Is this a one-off day or is this a recurrence? Another form of stress can be from your relationships and from your friendships. Is your relationship with someone breaking down? Again, that can be a relationship with a work colleague. It can be your girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, husband. It could be your father, it could be your sister, it could be anyone in your life. Is there a breakdown in relationship there? I think another major one, particularly for our generation, or my generation I should say, is financial. And this one is a tricky one because there's no quick fix to financial. You got to work hard, there's no doubt about it. You got to find something you love, and you got to find a way of living that's comfortable for you. And if that is not earning hundreds of thousands of pounds, then all power to you. That's what happiness is. It's being content with your own circumstance. But if you're one that desires the finer things in life and you require them, and I think some people do require them just because of the way that they're wired, then unfortunately financial is going to have to be a slow burner, but you need to have a plan for it. And then finally, I think a really important one to talk about, at the point of filming this video now, there is a lot of exams going on in the UK. We got GCSEs, A-levels and stuff like that. And I think at a young age, to be thrust into such important exams, I want to stress that, yes, they are important, but if you fail one, you're not going to die. And there's ways around it. There's ways around it, still being a successful person and getting no GCSEs and A-levels. But I do wholeheartedly believe you should try as hard as you can and work as hard as you can. So there's a lot of people out there who are having exam stress. And we've got to think about those young people who are going through the most stressful time in their life so far. I appreciate that further down the line they'll have stuff that is more trying, more pressing, more important. But at this stage of our lives, as a young person, that was the most stressful thing that we may have ever gone through. And so we need to think of some ways to combat that as well. I think every so often it's good to appreciate the view when you're running. Don't forget to look backwards when you're hiking, when you're walking, when you're out cycling. Look behind you, look where you've come from. See how far you've come. Psychologically it's great, but also you get moments like this. So let's get to the reason why you're watching the video. What can we do to manage our stress and make it work for us? I think, like I said earlier, it's important to know what type of stress you have. Eustress or de-stress. Is it breaking you down, or does it have the potential to build you up? So if you're having that long-term stress that you just can't seem to fight off, what is it that we can do? I mean, there's a few things. I think the main point of attack needs to be control what you can control and try and accept the things you cannot change. I think that's a basic fundamental of life. Look at your controllables and look at your uncontrollables and attack the controllables as hard as you possibly can. Make a difference in them. Make them more positive a little bit every day, and I think you'll see your stresses start to go away. Like that longer term sort of attack, you might need to do a plan. It might be a year-long plan, it could be longer. It could be looking into how much money you are making and looking into new jobs, looking into new side hustles, or things that you really enjoy, or maybe in ways that you can save money. But I think that's really important. Make sure you know you're attacking the things that you can control and accept the things you cannot change. You can get a bit more active. You knew I was going to say it. It's why we're running on this channel. Be active, get out there. If you're at a time of stress, is there a time where you can just leave it behind for a second? Go to the gym, go for a run, play some football, play some rugby, whatever it may be, and just get out there and do something for you, you know? And that also goes on to me time. Are you having good switch off time? Away from phones and devices, not streaming on Netflix, finding something that relaxes you, soothes you, but doesn't require any sort of stimulation. I think a really big one that a lot of people don't think about is helping others. There's very few feelings in the world that feel better than helping other people. And I don't mean you have to be Mother Teresa, you know, or Pope Leo, but just doing a little bit every single day, just a nice little thing. Doesn't have to cost you any money. It can take up some of your time, and that could even be part of your me time, spreading your love with other people, you know. I think other important things that you can avoid doing when you're going through times of stress is I would avoid any sort of drugs or alcohol. Now, I'm not a massive drinker as is. At the point of filming this, I haven't had a drink in about 3 months, because it's just not worth it for me. I've done my partying and stuff. I'm only 25, but I've done my partying. I've done my days where I've been out until 4 or 5 a.m. and I was never as fulfilled as I am now. It didn't work, you know. That attention seeking, that just deprived of energy from other people, didn't fill me with anything. It didn't fill my cup. If anything, it took away from it. I think that's very important to note. And I think before we move on to the quote of this week, I think it's important to mention that you need to talk to people. I said it in a video about 4 or 5 weeks ago now, of the importance of talking to people and doing it face to face. Don't do it over text, not doing it over phone calls. FaceTime is acceptable if you're miles away, but talk to people. Let them, the people you trust, let them into your life, because they will help you out, I promise. And I think I've found the perfect spot for this week's quote of Run For Not From week 9. So let's just take a seat on this lovely bench and admire the view for a second. So this week's quote comes from Colleen Hoover, who is an American author who wrote the book It Ends With Us, which was recently turned into a film with Blake Lively in it. And she says, "Sometimes you need to have a few bad days to put the good days in perspective." Let me know what you think. Hey guys, I just wanted to take this moment to thank you so much for watching these videos. I'm enjoying making them immensely, and it's motivating me to keep doing them for so much longer. So please pop ideas over to me in person if you know me, over Instagram, over YouTube, in the comments section and stuff like that, because I'd love to use your ideas as well. But like always, please like, please subscribe, please follow me at Nathan Shaw Life on YouTube and on Instagram and on TikTok, and I'd love to see you guys there. Thank you so much for watching.